Well, folks, it is now official, or just about official. Word coming down now officially from a proven source, NFL.com. Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero confirming that Adam Gase is expected to be fired at the end of the Jets-Patriots game on Sunday afternoon. No matter what happens, the Jets could win by 50. They can lose by 50. Doesn't matter. The days of Adam Gase as head coach of the New York Jets are numbered. And this has been a rumor that's been swirling around for some time, certainly all season long. We've been hearing this rumor about Adam Gase and his future with the Jets. Recently this week, there was some rumors circulating around, even on radio, WFAN coming out saying that there was a rumor that Gase was going to be fired with unnamed sources, saying that he was going to be on his way out. Well, now we can confirm it with NFL.com, and this is what I've been waiting for, a confirmed report that says that he is indeed out. So, look, this has been a nightmarish 2 years for Jet fans. It's been nightmarish 2 years for the Jets in general with Gase as the head coach. 9 wins, 22 losses. They've been terrible in the first half of both seasons. Awful. 0-8 this year. 1-7 to start last season. They, for all intents and purposes, cost themselves the number one pick this year by winning games. A couple of games late in the year, but they may end up working out if a Justin Fields turns out to be the guy they end up taking. Maybe even if they want to go with Zach Wilson or trade down to get more picks, may end up working out in their favor. But still, the point is, it's been a nightmarish tenure here. The biggest problem with Gase is the fact that he could not develop Sam Darnold. Darnold regressed in his 2 years here at the Jets, or with Gase as the head coach with the Jets. Gase, like he did in Miami, had run-ins with a lot of star players. Jamal Adams butted heads with him. He gets traded. Butted heads with Le'Veon Bell. He gets released. Ends up signing with the Kansas City Chiefs. So you had that problem. You also had the problems with Greg Williams. Those two never got along. Of course, Gase ended up winning that power struggle, firing him after the disaster in the Raider game, where the Jets gave up the late touchdown to the Las Vegas Raiders. So Williams was out. So the bottom line is his tenure is over. But now the question is, we knew this was coming. The question is, what's going to happen next? Who's going to be the next head coach of this team? And more importantly, how are the Jets going to do this? Because the last time the Jets had a coaching search just 2 years ago, they had Mike McCarthy right there. And a lot of reports at the time were that he wanted the job, and the Jets weren't going to grant it to him because he wasn't going to get any kind of same personnel. They also had a guy like Cliff Kingsbury, who's done a nice job in Arizona. Didn't give him the job. They had Matt Rule, who a lot of people think could end up doing a nice job in Carolina at some point. Got off to a good start this year. He didn't get the job because of also no same personnel. So what is this going to be with the Jets? How are the Johnson brothers going to mess this up is the question a lot of Jet fans are going to have here. Can the Johnson brothers butt out and allow General Manager Joe Douglas to do this search himself, enough with having different kind of firms come in here to make recommendations, enough with going around asking old-time NFL guys like Charlie Casserly what they think. The Jets have a general manager in place in Joe Douglas. Let him lead the search, and the Johnson brothers need to step back. Both Woody Johnson, when he comes back from the United Kingdom, and Christopher Johnson, who called Adam Gase on multiple occasions a brilliant mind. Step back, and step away. Get away from the situation and let Joe Douglas pick the next head coach of this team. That's the most important thing that's to come out of this. Now, who that candidate may be, who that person may be, is anybody's guess. There's a lot of names out there that have been circulating for some time. One name very intriguing, of course, being Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, there's been rumors that he could be linked to the Houston Texans as well, but, we all know how powerful that Chiefs offense is. Of course, with Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, you can make the argument that Bieniemy also feeding off of what Andy Reid is able to do. Andy Reid does call a lot of plays most of the time, but Bieniemy is a legitimate candidate, not just for this job, but for a lot of other jobs. Another name that's getting tossed around, and I've seen this name a lot now this week, is Ravens defensive coordinator Don Martindale. Now, the Ravens have always had a great defense. Going back now 20 years now. And Martindale, if he does get a head coaching job, will be the third defensive coordinator to get a head coaching job who's been linked to the Ravens. Marvin Lewis being one, had a very long, somewhat successful, when you consider that's the Bengals, but they never won a playoff game tenure. It is, decades-long tenure there. And, of course, the other being Rex Ryan, who was here at the Jets, who had 2 good years to start and then 4 years that were just, let's not go there. Do the Jets want to go down that road again with another defensive coordinator from the Ravens in Don Martindale, who let's kind of looks like Rex Ryan. You look at him; he does look like him. But they want to go that route. Arthur Smith, who was the offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans, or is the offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans, has done a nice job trying to get Ryan Tannehill's career straightened out. Does he? Is that the guy that just want to bring in here as the head coach to straighten out Sam Darnold, or even another quarterback for that matter? Is that the guy they Jets want to tap? Matt Eberflus. I don't know much about Eberflus other than the fact that he's the Colts defensive coordinator. The Colts defense has been very good this year. He was the Cowboys defensive coordinator a few years back before that. He is a name that's been rumored about. And then you go into and then you take another look at another name that has to be considered. And I know that a lot of people have mentioned it. It's not mentioned in this article that's been released by NFL.com, but one name that gets banted about a lot is Joe Brady, who is the offensive coordinator of the Carolina Panthers. Now, I know the Carolina Panthers offense hasn't been that great this year, but a lot of people like Brady because of what he did as the offensive coordinator for LSU last year. He just, leaves the Saints for LSU in 2019, turns that entire offense around, gets Joe Burrow to a level that was unheralded to the point where he became the number 1 pick last year. And, of course, LSU won the national championship. Then he goes to the Carolina Panthers, and they have been okay. They haven't been great. Robbie Anderson's had a nice time there, former Jet wide receiver as the down there. But he is a guy who could be in the Sean McVay type, a very young guy in his 30s who ends up getting a head coaching job. His name certainly is going to get banted about, and I've heard it get banted about a lot already. Then you take a look at the college ranks. Obviously, Matt Campbell from Iowa State was linked to the Jet job a couple of years ago, declined. Will he consider himself a candidate this time? And then, of course, I know people keep throwing out Jim Harbaugh out there. I don't know if that's going to happen, mainly because Harbaugh is a guy who you feel is someone who wants to have control. That was kind of his problem in San Francisco. He did butt heads with people over there with the 49ers, even though he did a great job down over there in San Francisco. Took them to the Super Bowl. I don't know if he would be the right fit for someone with like a Joe Douglas. I don't know if those two would get along too well. That's an interesting one that gets mentioned here. And if he was going to be out at Michigan, wouldn't have Michigan made that move already? You would think they probably would have. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But there's going to be a lot of names going to get linked to this job, for the Jets job. It is, after considering what we saw last night in the Sugar Bowl, and now the value of that number 2 overall pick, the Jet job now becomes that much more interesting, and becomes much more interesting to see what the Jets do with it. I would think, considering where the NFL is going right now, with the way offenses are played, with the way offenses are, everything's geared towards offense and towards young quarterbacks, and the ability to have a quarterback who can do multitude of different things, run the ball, throw the football, in the vertical passing game, you would think the Jets go the offensive route, but with more of a innovative offensive mind, unlike someone who, like Gase, who was just very, very conservative in his play calling. So that's what I think the Jets might do, or at least should do, for that matter, when it comes to going for a head coach. I will emphasize this. Keep in mind, Joe Douglas, someone who has a background with both the Ravens and the Eagles. Don't be shocked if that head coach is somebody who from either the Ravens or the Eagles, or someone from his past, for that matter. And that's why Don Martindale gets linked to the Jets job, for that matter. Doug Peterson, the Eagles head coach, is not going to be available. He is going to stay in Philadelphia. There's a report out there that he's going to stay with the Eagles as the head coach. And Bill Cowher, as much as a lot of people would like to see that happen, probably not. It's not going to happen. Cowher has already come out and said he's no interest in coaching this season. And he hasn't coached in over 15 years. So that ship has now sailed. So the Gase era is over. The question is, what will happen next? Who will Joe Douglas pick as the head coach? And can the Johnsons just leave Douglas alone and let him pick the coach that he wants to move this team forward? So the offseason begins for the Jets. Again, another coaching search. Seems like we do this way too often with the Jets, doesn't it? It really does. It's just too damn often. So leave your thoughts below, folks. Who do you want to be the next head coach of this team? Who do you think should be the next head coach of this team? And let's have that debate. Opine below. Remember, like and subscribe right here to the Sports Talk Nation. And also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/OpenMicProgram. And follow us on Twitter @OpenMicNJ. We'll talk to you next time.